The 2020 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory. Aprilia created the 2020 Tuono V4 1100 factory to deliver real racebike experience in a naked sport package for riders who may actually get beyond the parking lot at the local track. Since Aprilia acts as the racebike division of Piaggio C, it brings considerable trackside expertise to the end product for a genuine racebike experience no matter where you ride. V4 Power drives an aluminum chassis with robust ride control electronics with a definite bias for track use, and it comes adorned with weight-saving carbon fiber bits and bobs to minimize mass. This is a serious bike for serious riders. Don't be fooled by the relatively low price that slides in just below the $19,000 mark. That accessibility doesn't fully express its overall worth, as you shall soon see. 2020 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory design. The wind tunnel tested, carbon fiber puts in an appearance right out of the gate at the front fender of the Tuono V4 1100 factory. Not only is the overall shape cut down from full size to keep unsprung weight down, but the carbon fiber material contributes to lightening efforts at the front axle. Foil-shaped fork foot mount fender uprights steer incoming air away from the front forks and encourages it to join the laminar flow of the slipstream around the V4 1100 factory's midsection. Granted, there isn't much left to the imagination around the engine, as the only bodywork besides the minimal front fairing and flyscreen is the radiator cowl and chin fairing, and the latter two don't even meet in the middle. All of the rest of the engine compartment and frame is visible from the side to create the naked look that sets it apart from its RS-V4 siblings. Dual intake ports in the nose take advantage of the ram air effect to garner a slight increase in volumetric efficiency. That's nice and all, but the power curve is pretty flat until you get up to around 100 miles per hour, so for street riders it's more or less just a conversation piece. A dual-walled radiator cowl generates a downward force underway, and that stabilizes the Tuono at speed by keeping the front wheel planted and its contact patch spread out against the tarmac. Short, standoff-style blinkers mount to the cowl, probably the least desirable place honestly, and are sure to go bye-bye in a laydown, so there's that. Up top, a smoked bubble screen punches a minimal hole in the weather, so you'll have to tuck in tight to the flat deck along the 4.8-gallon fuel tank to find the pocket. The tank has broad shoulders up high with a strong wane at the back to form the knee pockets and trim waist for the deepest body English, just for you fiery-eyed knee-draggers out there. A minimal pillion pad and fold-up foot pegs make it possible to carry a very brave passenger, but if you prefer that solo, racer look, you can easily strike the pegs and slap on a cover to tidy up the tail. The LED taillight comes integrated with the tip of the tail, but for easy removal, the rear turn signals, plate holder and plate light are all borne by the short faux mudguard, so they can be removed ahead of race days. 2020 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory chassis. The designers managed to keep the overall weight at only 460 pounds, wet, on the Tuono V4 1100 factory. Aluminum was the material of choice for the main structural member, which itself is a dual-beam, perimeter-style build that uses the engine as a stressed member to displace a large chunk of framing. A gull-wing swingarm lends its strength to the rear end, and 17-inch cast wheels round out the rolling chassis. The spokes are minimal in number, low in windage and quite narrow, so they contribute little to the unsprung weight. This manifests itself in the supple suspension response and solid tracking on irregular surfaces. Öhlins makes out like a bandit with its components at all three slots on the bike: steering damper, USD front suspension, and rear shocks. Not only are the support members fully adjustable, but they fall under the automatic control of the Smart EC 2.0 to provide real-time, event-based damping adjustments in response to changes in the road surface. Plus, the system lets you switch active response curves to give the suspension multiple personality. Dual, 330mm stainless steel discs and 4-pot, Brembo monoblock calipers slow the front wheel, and out back, a 220mm disc and twin-piston anchor takes care of business, all under the protection of the Bosch 9.1 MP ABS feature that keeps you from overdoing it with the brakes and consequently losing traction. It comes with anti-rear wheel lift-up software built in to help keep the rear wheel planted under hard, front wheel braking actions. 2020 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory drivetrain. The compact width of the transverse mount V4 1100 powerplant allows for an overall narrow build, but the advantages don't stop there. Pressurized air from the intake ports in the nose feed the engine through a quartet of 48 mm Weber Marelli throttle bodies. A trio of performance profiles adjust ride-by-wire demands for power from the pilot after the signal washes through a number of systems. The fandanglery is strong with this one. The electronics suite bundles some top-shelf racing tech together to include an adjustable pit limiter that lets you stay legal while you taxi. A launch control system helps you nail the whole shot, and quick shifter lets you work both up and down the 6-gear range with nary a touch of the clutch lever. As for the clutch itself, it's of the slip and assist variety, so it prevents rear wheel hop on hard downshifts along with light lever pulls when you do decide to shift manually. Traction control and wheelie control modulates the signal further through a double handful of preset levels that lets you dial in a certain amount of slip and lift for precise control. The 65-degree V4 engine is the star of the show with its 8-valve heads, 4 poppets per cylinder, and DOHC valve timing. Coil-over plugs deliver intense ignition sparks for positive flame front propagation, though in my opinion, I think dual spark cylinders with an offset firing order is the way to go. An 88 mm bore and 52.3 mm stroke gives the lump its 1077 cc displacement, and it delivers 175 horsepower at 11,000 revolutions per minute with 89 pound-feet of torque that tops out at 9 grand. Top speed is reported at 155 miles per hour. As you can see, it certainly likes the higher RPM ranges, and it can safely operate at speeds that would turn lesser engines into boat anchors. 2020 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory pricing. The rebuilt for MY20 Tuono V4 1100 factory rolls in the Atomico racer livery that splashes the colors of the Italian flag over a black backdrop. US MSRP is $18,999. 2020 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory competitors. Naked sport bikes that are truly track-capable are few and far between, but I think I found a good match for the Tuono V4 1100 factory in the ZH2 from Kawasaki. Kawasaki ZH2. The Kawi runs with little in the way of body panels on the ZH2. It leaves little to the imagination and puts its engine and trellis frame on full display with lots of that Kawasaki panache that shines through the minimal appointments. Fully adjustable suspension is a constant across the range, but the Kawi is manually adjustable to cede the advantage to the electronic Aprilia. The electronics are similar as the ZH2 runs with launch control and a quick shifter along with a corner-sensitive traction control system. Really, the only thing the ZH2 lacks is the pit limiter that really only benefits actual racers, so for most riders that's a superfluous feature anyway. Kawasaki powers its entry with a new engine that is a mixed bag. It's a traditional inline-4, but it mounts a proper supercharger that cranks the torque output up to 101 pound-feet of torque against 89 pounds from the Italian. That's an edge that will be hard to overcome if you are all about that brute grunt. At the checkout, Kawi scores another win with its $17,000 price tag that looks good against the $19,000 sticker on the Aprilia. Read our full review of the Kawasaki ZH2. He said, Kawi delivers a double whammy with more power for less money, but the Tuono is still a strong contender all the same. Is it more than you can ever do justice on public streets? You betcha, but I'm sure that won't stop many of you from trying. At the end of the day, this is a lot of bike for the buck, and that's a tad worrisome as the price doesn't necessarily act as a firewall here. She said. My wife and fellow motorcycle rider, Alan Hinton, says something a little different with the Tuono V4 1100 that I wasn't expecting is the ride modes all have full power. It's not like other bikes where rain or grandma modes have reduced power. This bike has full power in all ride modes. The difference that I can see is in engine braking. Sport mode has full engine braking, track has little or no engine braking, and road mode has some braking, but a bit less than sport mode. I guess that makes sense since all the ride modes are for going and none are labeled for nanny care like you'd expect to have in something called rain mode. All in all, it's an awesome bike as long as you respect the power. The electronics suite is a nice bundle of systems that you can appreciate even using it as a commuter. 2020 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory specifications.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.